In section number 4, we will work with the advanced concepts like namespaces, and we will learn how to use namespaces and how to build them. In this video, we're going to discuss namespaces in TypeScript. We're going to cover multiple points in this video. We're going to create a function that is going to capitalize the first letter of a string. That's a neat trick. We're going to see how to use static functions. We're going to use the export keyword, and we're going to group everything in a namespace. But first, let's define what is a namespace. Namespace is used for grouping of functionalities. A namespace can include interfaces, classes, functions, and variables to support a single or a group of related functionalities. Let's go ahead and see this in action. So first, I'm going to create a function that is going to capitalize the first letter of the word. Can you think of a way to do this? Let's do it together. There is actually plenty of ways to do this. So I'm going to maybe do it in two different ways to show you how. So I'm going to create a function. I'm going to call it capitalize first letter. And it's going to take a parameter. I'm going to name it text. It is of type string, of course, and it's going to return a string. Let's build the body of the function. So what I'm going to do is, if I have a word like Avengers, for example, I need to capitalize this only. So this is an array of characters, and I can come in here and use the index. If you remember from the arrays, you can use an index to capitalize this. Then I can go ahead and subtract this and only use this word or the Avengers in here. Let's do this. So I'm going to first return, because I'm going to return the result, text index 0, the first letter that we need to capitalize. 2, I'm going to use a built-in function in TypeScript called toUpperCase. It's a method. And I'm going to add this or combine this, the first letter that we just capitalize it, to text. I'm going to use the built-in method also called substring, which is going to let me, if we hover over in here, return the substring at specified location within a string number. It takes the start, the end. So I'm going to give it a start and the end, and this is the text that I'm going to get. So if I have the Avengers, I'd like to start from the second letter, which is the V in this case. So I'm going to type 1, and to get it to the end of the word, I'm going to use this text.length. It's going to give me the length of the word. So let's try to call this method. So I'm going to say console to display it, log, and I'm going to call capitalize first letter, and I'm going to pass maybe Avengers. Let's test this. So let's refresh, but first let me show here it is. As you can see, Avengers. If I tried with any other thing, maybe TypeScript. Fresh, and here we have the T capitalized. If I would like to capitalize the first letter of the first word in a statement or a paragraph, that's going to be different. I'm going to see this later. But we did our first point. We created a function that's going to capitalize our first letter. So let's add it to a class. I'm going to name the class maybe something useful. String manipulation. Open and close this. And as you can see now, it's giving me an error about the function. We need, if you remember from the classes, we need to remove the function. So now we have class that has one function called capitalize first letter. But if I wanted to use the function, as you can see in here, or the method, now it's giving me an error. Cannot find the name capitalize first letter. Now TypeScript doesn't know what it is, because I have to create an instance of this class to be able to use the function. And that's not what we're going to do. I can just go to the function and type static, which means that I can go ahead and use this method without creating an instance of the class that this method is inside. As a proof of this, let's first remove this. If I try to access this method using the full name string manipulation dot, I don't have an access to the capitalized first letter in here. But once I add the static keyword, here's the magic. I can access the capitalized first letter, as you can see in here. So let's go ahead and add it in here. String manipulation dot, and here the capitalized. Let's go ahead and test it. If I refresh, it's working. Let's change the word. Maybe gym. Small word. And here it is. It is working very fine. If I would like to group a bunch of classes with methods and fields, I can go ahead and use a namespace. So I can go ahead and type namespace. And I'm going to give it a name, string utility, for example. You can go ahead and name it whatever you want. And here is my namespace. So the namespace is the large umbrella, if I can say this. It's going to contain multiple classes, interfaces, methods inside the classes, so that you can group things in a very nice way. So we have a namespace called string utility. Inside of this namespace, we have a class called string manipulation, and there is the static function or a method that we can use. But I can no longer access it using string utility dot. As you can see, there is no dot. It doesn't work. But if I go to the class and type export, go back to the namespace dot, and now I can see that I have the class available for me to use, and I have the method available for me to use. As you can see now, the line is valid, but if I remove the export, as you can see, it doesn't know how to access this class. Okay, so by making this class export from its name, it's going to export this class as it's making it public. So let's test this. And again, it is working. If I change the name to maybe game, let's refresh. Okay, it is working very fine. One thing before we go, if you don't like this way, I can go ahead and change this and go ahead and use a different technique. So I'm going to type return, and I'm going to use text dot character at, and I'm going to specify the position, character number 0, the first letter, and I'm going to convert it to uppercase, and I'm going to concatenate it to the text dot. I'm going to use a different method which is easier. It's called slice. As you can see, slice is going to return a section of a string and it takes the start. So I'm going to tell it that you're going to start from 1 without specifying the end. That's better, I think. This is 2 ways. There is also plenty of ways to do this, but these are very easy ways to do this. Let's test it. And here it is. It is working without a problem. So that would be it for the namespaces for now.